Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Sporting Global podcast. And today we're here with Raquel. And Raquel, thank you so much for taking the time and all the way from Brazil. How are you this morning?
Hi, Ole. I'm fine, thanks. And I would like to thank you, Sporting Global, for this opportunity, and also ABRAGESP. I just would like to say a little bit about ABRAGESP.
For sure.
ABRAGESP is a Brazilian association, Sport Management Association, and its main goal is to spread and produce knowledge in this field. And I knew ABRAGESP when I entered in my master course in the University of São Paulo.
Nice. And ABRAGESP is a great partner of us. We're very excited to be partnering with them as well. And they were the one who recommended us to have you part of the podcast. Sharing your stories. So as I said, Raquel, thanks for taking the time. It's going to be fun. We have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. And for all you out there, we're going to talk a little about how you're going to create your path into what I call into the big leagues. And Raquel has interesting story that I think would be very valuable for all of you out there to learn, because at the end of the day, we're kind of very focused on, we have to work for the major teams, the major sports, there's no other options, but there's so much more to do. But before we
that's true.
Yeah, and before we dig into all of this, I thought it would be good, Raquel, if you could just share a little bit about your academic and professional background, and then a little bit about yourself, so they can get a better sense of who are you?
Yes, perfect. Then I'm Raquel Nakamura, as Ole said, and I study physical education in the university. I specialized in sport management, and then I am doing now my master course in the University of São Paulo. I am studying mainly how to unlock executives' potential.
Nice.
Then let's see how things going. And about the professional career, about the professional career, I've been working in major leagues like sports, such as Olympic Games and FIFA World Cup, Formula 1,
nice.
And the Brazilian Union Rugby. Yeah, that's it.
You've been touching upon several different sports like rugby, Formula 1, and football, and the Olympics as well. So it's been a different kind of sports that you've been exploring. And I think we have to look a little bit into how your career in the sport industry began. Take us a little bit back into when did you realize, I want to work in sports? And second, what did you do in order to start your sports career?
Yeah, when we knew that Brazil was going to host the Olympic Games and the World Cup, I thought that it would be great to be part of it. And then I was dreaming about working in the Olympic Games. And then I thought but I don't know if I already have the skills that would be needed for it.
Right.
And then I decided to do a strategic plan to have more chance to get this opportunity.
Nice.
That's how I started this path. Yeah. And then my plan was simple. If it's an international event, I need to know and I need to improve the language. And then I need to speak English, of course.
Right. Very cool.
And then after that, I would need some professional experience in sports. And in Brazil, we were starting this area here. And then I decided to go to Ireland because in that time, I could watch the Olympic Games in London 2012.
Right.
And I could learn a little bit, experience this sensation, how was going to be there and watching what was the feeling.
Right.
And also the organization, the environmental stuff. And that's what I did. I went to Ireland, and then I improved my English in the first year. And after that, I started looking for jobs that would give me this kind of knowledge and skills that I thought that I needed.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's interesting, right? Because I mean, like, it just goes down to like, okay, you found like a goal, right? Like, something to reach for, and then like, okay, in order to do that, I have to understand, first of all, like language, right? Like, language is always
Yes.
key, and as you said, internationally, and I think like as well, like, it's something that popped in my head though, because I mean, like, obviously, the 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 Olympics in 2012 was in UK, right, in England and London. So I mean, like, would you have traveled if it was like somewhere like completely random, like just not like in the UK or something, like somewhere else? Like, would you still go, or was that like did that help kind of like taking that first step?
Yes, like because I could choose like which country I would like to go to improve my English, and then
Yeah,
I could choose other countries. And I thought Ireland would be great because kind of it's cheaper than
right.
London or
Yeah, yeah,
England,
100%.
and also like I was going to be close to London, and then it was easier to go there, and then that's why I chose like Ireland. But yes, for example, now for the Tokyo 2020
Yeah.
or 2021,
21.
let's see. Yeah, like if I want to be working there, I would improve my Japanese language, for
Right.
example.
No, it
Yeah, and
makes
then
total sense. And
yeah,
I
then
mean,
I
like,
think like that's how I choose. Like if I want to work there, I know that I will need this skill, and then I
right.
will try to find ways to develop the skills that I need. If it's
Absolutely.
living in another country, that's fine. Let's do it then.
Get the experience and learn a different culture, and I mean,
Yeah.
like, also like just the experience of like like being part of, I guess, like, as a spectator, like seeing the Olympics in London must have been like an amazing experience, as well. I mean, like, I don't know how much you explored, but at the same time, like, just being there is a unique experience. So I'm sure that gave you a lot of inspiration and motivation for like, oh, I really want to work with, like, the Olympics in Rio when it gets there. So that I think makes a lot of sense. So obviously, we talked a lot about, you went to Ireland, but when you were there, you also kind of like decided to explore a little bit the rugby, like the sport of rugby, and my thought like around this was like, okay, so what are some of the challenges you were facing? Like, obviously moving, to Ireland first and foremost, but then also like, why rugby?
Yeah. Yeah, like I went as a student, and then like what I did when I thought I had like improved my English enough, I
Right.
started to send my to apply for different job positions, different job opportunities. And of course, I tried many other options too, not only rugby, because I knew that I could not go get this opportunity. Then I also volunteered in a stadium that is a
Nice.
Gaelic sports stadium, and it helped me a lot because I learned how the stadium, how things work in stadium, and
Right.
then I learned with them how to work with them.
Right.
And then like while I was doing this volunteer work, I was also trying applying for other kinds of jobs. I worked in UCG also, that is it's an university in Ireland.
Nice.
And then like I also applied to the rugby organization, and then they hired me as a rugby coach.
There
But
you
of
go.
course I could not be a rugby coach because I didn't know rugby. We didn't have rugby in Brazil. Like we
Right.
had, but it was not that developed. Nobody knew a lot about it. But like then they hired me as an assistant, and that's how I start learning rugby too, the rules and
Yeah.
all the rugby stuff. And you asked me why did you choose rugby?
Right.
Because as I said, in Brazil it was not that famous,
Right.
if I can say like this.
No, like, there's probably
And
only one sport, right? Football.
Yeah, that's it. Football. We love football here. That's it. And like for me, I thought like thinking strategically in football or in other traditional sports here in Brazil.
Right.
I thought they would have like their specific staff, specialized staff, and then they wouldn't open more vacancies for new people.
Right.
And then I thought like, as rugby is going to return to the Olympic Games, and then they might need more people or they might need different people to help them. And then that's why I thought about rugby. And also I have played like with some friends, but not with the exactly rules.
Right.
But I could play some kind of rugby.
That's great. And I mean, like, I think it's, you know, at the end of the day, you sort of like saw an opportunity, right? Of like, instead of going like sort of like the traditional routes, like where do you have the like highest potential? Like, where's the opportunity to like, you know, get where you want to go without like, you know, having to like being smarter about your choice, right? And at the end of the day, like working for the Olympics, like of course, like I guess you have like preferences in sports, and we're gonna talk like a little bit about like how you actually not ended up working with rugby in the Olympics, but at the same time, like, you know, like at the end of the day, it's about like getting the experience, right? And also as we talk about like being smart about like, okay, what can I do in order to reach, you know, that goal, and whether that is, you know, taking a different kind of sport or different kind of path. Because at the end of the day, like, okay, once you learn doing events, right, okay, you get that experience, you can do that for different sports too, and I think that will help. So I think, like, you know, for those that are listening, like, think a little bit about the choices that you're making, right? And like, where do you have the biggest opportunity and the most chance for maybe actually also providing some value and making some impact? Because, you know, it might be hard if everyone is gonna choose football, you know. So that's also one thing. And I mean, like, of course, if you're dedicated on like, I gotta do football nonetheless, you know, okay, you find your path, but you can always go back. And we'll touch a little bit upon that, because obviously, you know, going into the Olympics, you sort of like have like this plan, right, of like, okay, I'm gonna work with rugby, but what actually happened, like with your position at the Olympics, and like what did you actually ended up doing there in Rio?
Actually, I didn't work in Rio. I worked in São Paulo. Oh, that is my home city.
Right.
And I worked with football. Can you believe?
There you go. So how did that come to life though? Like, how did that happen?
Like, as you said, like in the beginning, the good part is that people are like, they are open to teach you. Like, then, like, if you are starting as a volunteer or as an assistant, people will train you. That's amazing. And like, actually, I think that doesn't matter which sports you are, because the knowledge, as you said, the knowledge and the experience that you are getting, like, this will improve like your curriculum, for example. And then when people will see your curriculum, your experience, they will see, okay, this person knows how to do it. I can trust, and I know that this person will develop the thing that I need. Right. And then I think this is the key thing, like, because of course it's good to be in the field that you want, because of course you are going to meet different people, and this could help you with this networking. 100%. But also, like, you can do it in other sports, and they also work in the area that you want. That's what happened with me. And yes, I started with rugby, and I remember like the first time that I did this in Brazil, I was a volunteer in an international rugby championship. Nice. And then I was like working and learning and like giving what they needed. Right. And someone saw me working, and this person liked the way that I did, the way that I was working, and sent me a text on Facebook. like, would you like to work in the World Cup? And I said, yes, please. Of course I want.
Wow.
And then,
do I know?
let me think a little bit. I'm not sure. So yes,
you gotta
but
say
like
yes to that, you know.
Looking into the future, the beginner faces a choice that leads him to the triumph, or not. Being surrounded by like-minded professionals can be the best guarantee that you actually take that crucial career step.
Sport in Global is a digital network for sports jobs. It gives you the chance to be involved in the sports industry no matter who you are, regardless of gender, nationality, and experience.
Our AI system matches up talent with human resources. Candidates who align with the company's values and needs immediately get shortlisted. It saves time for HR and increases the opportunities available to applicants.
The platform identifies tailor-made recommendations based on user needs, so you're always aware of the possibilities out there right now.
Sport in Global is a place where students gain key tips about jobs and build the valuable connections that are essential for people at the beginning of their career path.
The path from candidate to champion starts with a single step in the right direction. Sign up to Sport in Global.
Sport in Global, the best way to enter the sports industry.
That's all I want to ask you.
But
about.
if I didn't get this opportunity to work with rugby as a volunteer,
Right.
I would never have this opportunity to work in the World Cup, or I might have, but who knows?
Right. You never know what it's gonna lead to, right? And you know, as you said too, like at the end of the day, it's about providing value where you are, and you never know, like from that where that might lead to. And for you, like okay, ended up, you know, working the World Cup, and then you know also, you know, for the Olympics. And then also going to the Formula One scene, which I think we got to touch a little bit upon too, because like, how did you end up there? You know, like now you've been like rugby and like World Cup football, like the Olympics, we're focused on football, and now like Formula One. Like, where did that come up? Like, was it like something you thought about, or like did it just come out of nowhere? Like, how did that happen?
I think like when we see these major leagues, we always dream about it because it's the top. I think it's the top of our ambition as a professional. As a professional, and then like, but I was thinking like I don't know if I have the specific skills that they need. I don't know if I have the experience that they need. And then I was like, I don't know if I can work in Formula One, for example, because I thought it would be a really high standard. And as the World Cup, of course, and the Olympic Games, but I was like, I don't know how to enter in this organization too. Right. And then, like, as I said, with the World Cup, to enter and to work in the Olympic Games, I also was recommended by someone that I met in the World Cup. And in Formula One was the same thing. Right. I was recommended by someone that worked in the Olympic Games. Right. And that's how. But of course, it's not only being recommended that will give you the job. You have to have the skills and knowledge that they need, and provide value. That's it. Perfect. And like, it's not only send your CV and apply for the position. You also need to be well in the interview and show to them that you already have the value that they are looking for. Yeah. And after that, when you enter, you need to prove it for them, like when you're working.
That's the most important part as well. I mean, like at the end of the day, if you get the opportunity, you have to take care of it too. You have to take advantage of it and really showcase, okay, I can do the job and I can do maybe more than what is asked of them, which I know like you did a lot in the Formula side, which like led you like working there a lot longer than was originally planned? Like, take us a little bit through like that journey. Like, how did you begin? Like, what was your first role in Formula One, and then like where are you? Like, yeah, where did you kind of like end up?
Yes, then when I did the interview, I did the interview for working just the 3 days of the championship.
Nice.
And then like I said, I'm glad to have this opportunity to have this interview. And if you like if you like me, and if you think I can help you more, I am available. And if you need someone, you can call me before the time that we are arranged. And then the person said, okay, great. Thank you very much. And then like, you're okay. I don't know if it could happen or not, but I said that I was available, and let's see. And exactly that happened. Then they called me 1 month before and said, okay, we like your curriculum, and I think you would help us. And would you start 1 month before? I said, yes, sure. And then I started in this VIP area, and I didn't do the thing that I was interviewed for. I did another thing.
Right. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. And then like, I want to provide the value for the people who are hiring me. And then
100%.
I always like to try to help them as much as I can. Like if they say, would you do this? Yes, of course, I'll do. If they said, can you learn this? Yes, I will learn it, because I want to be there. Right. Like I want to be working in Formula One. Then for me, it's work. Then, and I like this. I like this environment. I like this opportunity. And then I will be the better that I can do for help them. And then like they ask me different, like I said, like I had many managers like in different areas, and I helped all of them because like I had this time and they were available. They wanted someone to help them. And they agreed, like in between areas, they agreed, and it was okay. And I think that because of my flexibility, adaptability, in the next year they asked me if I could work in another area that was the logistics. Nice. And in this area, I was helping them like with the logistics for the scuderias, the Formula One teams like Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull. That's awesome. And it was amazing. Like it was much more complex, I think, in my opinion. But I like complexity, and it was like, great, different challenge, let's go, yeah. And and I know, as I told you another time, after that, they said, next year, will you work in this area and also in another area? I said, yes, sure. What do you need? And they said, would you help in the race secretariat area? I said, yes. And then they gave me manuals, read it, and just do it. Of course, I had people there to help me also, to teach me also. But that's what I did. And then like I worked in the opening ceremony, podium ceremony. It was really great.
You've been touching upon, like, especially in Formula One, though, you've been like touching upon like so many different, elements of like what it means to like working with Formula One, and like the different kind of departments essentially that is going on with the events and the tournaments. And I think like for the ones that are out there, and at the end of the day, like you have to grab the opportunity, right? And I think like, of course, like if you get the question, like of course, like say yes, but at the same time, like no one is going to ask you unless you're like being proactive and you're like doing everything that you're doing like with a smile on your face, and you're doing it well. Like at the end of the day, it's providing like value. And the second thing, like this goes back then, I mean, like I'm going to go a little bit back to like old school like me when I started my sport career. It's not like Formula One or anything. It's not like, super fancy. But when I was doing my internship at the Norwegian Football Association, like it was sort of like my first internship like I ever did. I was having like coaching and everything like before that, like in football. But when I was having that internship like for 6 months, I was originally like put in like one department. It was like youth development and sort of like the development department of the association. But I said like, hey, if I'm here, I want to like learn as much as I can. So I just don't want to be within that department, because I mean like that would be cool, but at the same time I want to try to like get a piece of like a little bit of everything so I can learn, because my goal was to become like managing director for like a football team one day. That was like before I started my company and all this. A lot of things changes, but this was sort of like my goal back in the day. And I said like, okay, I gotta try to understand more. So it's all like what happened with you as well. Like the first thing, like I literally said yes to everything. Like, hey, can you help me with like packing these bags? And I was like, sure, no worries, I'll help out. And then what happened was like the person that I helped, she's like, oh, like she's great. Whatever you need, like just ask him. So whenever someone asked her, she like gave the task to me. And then it just like got the ball rolling. In addition to that, I went to the different departments and I said, hey, do you have a project that I can work on? Okay. I'm happy to help, and they're like, yeah, let me find something. So what happened at the end, I was so packed because everyone is coming like to me like once a week and like, hey, I got a new project. And I'm like, I'm running out of time too much. But that was also like a good way to learn how to control your days and structure your time management. But at the end of the day, like it's like this is what we talk about. It's like it doesn't matter where you are. Like you could be an intern, it could be like a real proper position. But at the end of the day, like you have to take the initiative. You have to take proactive. You have to do a good job and do it well and be positive, because the mindset as well, especially like during events and stuff, like having people, because I mean like it's super stressful, like as like Raquel, like you've been working like major events, you've been working like big and small there, and there's a lot of stressful stuff going on. So like having that positive mindset when everyone is like freaking out, or like when everyone is like stressed out, this is where this is very important. So this is why I wanted to talk a lot about this, because I think it's very important for a lot of you guys to understand the value of the mindset and the value of like taking the initiative, and value of like, of course, creating value and be good at it, but you got to take your foot out. You got to be proactive, and if someone asks you to do something, it doesn't matter what it is, how small it is, or like how, I don't know, like I had to even like during Copa America, I had to go to the store and buy like food for teams. I said like, I'll do it. I don't care. Like I'll do it because like I could say, and it's funny though, because the food that I was buying was actually going to the Argentina football team, like to Messi. So it's like,
no.
Yeah, I know like you're probably not happy about the Argentina reference, but I'm like, I was like, I wanted to put it out there. Like that food that I bought, Messi ate that. So technically, I'm just kidding. That's like too much. But yeah, I mean like you never know what that little task might lead to. And like me buying that bananas, those Gatorades or what it might be, that went to the Argentinian team. So, it all sticks together. Someone has to do it, and that was like my final like history back in like what I was doing, because this is about you. And I'm thinking like, if we're gonna, go a little bit into some tips and some advice from your side. Like obviously there's a lot of young students, a lot of young professionals here, like they want to work with the World Cup, they want to work with the Olympics, and they want to do a lot of like major stuff. But like what kind of tips do you have for them in order to like reach that goal, and like what should they think about on their path to reaching those goals from your side?
Find opportunities, get the opportunities, run for that. Like I I started as a volunteer. After that, I grew in this path. But like I also had some volunteers that were working with me.
Right.
And then like for them, I think like the ones who showed that were available, showed that wanted to help, everything that you said, like this passion, that they were worried about what they were doing. They wanted to do it better and even better. And like those are the things that highlight. Right. And then when you can do it, when like you outstand, and then people can see you, and then you might have different opportunities. Like I remember a volunteer that worked with me, that she was so great. Like as you said about the banana and Gatorade, like she did this for the rugby teams, international rugby teams, and she was like little as I am, like, and she still carried some like heavy box. And this impressed me because like she didn't need to, but she wanted to help anytime that it was needed. And then like when I knew that she would have an opportunity, like when someone asked me, would you refer me someone? And I realized that she had the profile that they were looking for. I recommended her, and last year she worked in Formula One. And then like she started work as a volunteer in rugby, the same story as me. And then last year she was hired to work in Formula One. Like that's it. But she worked in rugby like as a volunteer for many years. But if you work hard, like if you do it with passion, one day you will get there. And then like I like a quote from Ayrton Senna, a Brazilian Formula One driver, 3-time world champion in Formula One, that he said, like, doesn't matter the position that you are. Like, if you do it with all your heart and with faith, if you're doing like with determination and strength, someday, somehow you get there.
100%. It's a perfect way to end this podcast, I think. Like, I don't even want to say after this because it's a great way to end the podcast, and an amazing quote. It's been a pleasure having you here, Raquel, and sharing your story. There's a lot of great advice out there for all of you listening here, and be open and think as the Formula One legend from Brazil, and you'll reach your goal. So Raquel, thank you once again for taking the time. It's been a pleasure having you part of it, and with every episode we're doing, we'll always finish with "Vi snakkes," which means see you later in Norwegian. So now you know some Norwegian.
Great. I can't repeat, but I say até logo. That's a Brazilian way to say it. And thank you very much. Obrigada, Ole.
Obrigado. Thank you.